to be your hero, I want to be your colleague. That's what I want to be. I want to be your comrade in the battle.
All right.
And everybody here, we all need to be comrades, working together. So what we know is this. We have our official city structure, and then we have what we do, right? The official city structure is that we have a charter, and that charter is essentially the city's constitution, and it has lots of little rules and this and that in it, and there's ways to change it. But we have to have a charter. We're required by law to have a charter because we are a type of city that is designated to exist at the will of the legislature. And those types of cities are called charter cities, and they have to have a charter. So we have to have this document, but what's in it is up to us. So the thing about the charter is it's meant to have a permanence. So we shouldn't be just putting little operational details into that charter. Back in the 80s, early 80s, and I wish I'd have lived here then because I would have fought this damn stuff. But back in the early 80s, the union, the police federation, I don't even want to call them a union, they're not really a union because they represent management and line staff. So they're a federation, okay, let's be real. Back in those days, the federation pushed and got something added to the charter that requires a minimum level of funding for the police department. As it stands, and it's based on population, so it's 0.0017 times the population. I know that sounds stupid, doesn't it? So, as it stands right now, we are required to staff the police department to 723 people. They can be a mix of sworn and civilian, but we have to have 723 people. But guess what? We have never, ever been at the lowest threshold. Right now, the police department has 1,082.9 FTEs. That means full-time equivalents or employees, people bodies, right? So they got, 1,090 people, roughly. So we're nowhere near 723. We could get rid of 360 cops right now, if we wanted to, if the city council wanted to. We could get rid of them right now, and we should. Our organization, I'm with Communities United Against Police Brutality, so I'm going to speak to what we feel, and our organization believes that the police should be significantly downsized, and not just set down to 723. We think that that little technical detail, that operational detail in the charter could be wiped out right now on a unanimous vote by the city council. The charter process for amending the charter is outlined in state law. And in that process is a provision that allows for the city council to vote unanimously to make those kinds of technical changes. And an operational detail like how many people work in a department doesn't belong in the charter. Never did. Shouldn't have been there. Nobody should have let that thing in. But now we can get rid of it. As soon as the Ward 6 council member sits and they can have a unanimous vote, that's our #1 demand, is get that back. And then, once they do that, gut the police department. Gut it significantly. Cut it down. Way the hell down. We recognize that we cannot, at this time, in the way things are in our society right now, have no police department, because with no police department, then battered women, abused children, rape survivors, and so forth, cannot access the court system. They have to have the way to access the court system, and that's through the police. So we need some, but police are involved in all kinds of crap that they have no business being involved in. There should never be a police response to a mental health crisis. There should never be a police response to homelessness. There's 100 other things, drug overdoses, all kinds of other things that have no business having a police response. We think you can gut the hell out of that department and rein the ones that are left in nice and tight so that they stop abusing people. So that's what we're calling for. And the city council, they don't have to go to anybody else to make this happen. They could easily do this. Now, I want to talk about the city council. They made a lot of noise right after, George Floyd was killed. Oh, we're going to defund. First they said we're going to dismantle the police. Then it kind of rolled back to, we're going to defund the police. Then it rolled back to, we're going to have a year-long conversation. And by the way, have you seen that conversation start anywhere? since George Floyd was killed, and I ain't seen them have one day of conversation yet. How the hell long does it take to call a meeting, y'all? Really, seriously. You know, in other cities, you had things like, after the Rodney King uprising, you had the Christopher Commission. After the Watts riots, which I call uprisings, you had the Carter Commission. We have a nothing commission because they ain't done a damn thing or called for anything or even started to have meetings. 2 Fridays ago at their council meeting, they had assigned some staff to put together an outreach plan. The staff somehow didn't get around to it, so they gave them 2 more months to figure out how they're going to have an outreach to the community so they can start this year-long conversation. Are you impressed? Our groups had, like, you know, a meeting every Saturday this whole damn time. We have protests every freaking day. What the hell do you need to have a year-long conversation? Except call the fucking meeting. You know? How hard could this be? And they have to have a community engagement plan. For 2 more months they're going to be figuring this stuff out. And they're dumber than crap. And it's all about how do we control things. Because one of the things that they said when they put forward the stuff that they put forward, which first of all was a trick bag, because it was never going to do what they said. It wasn't going to dismantle the police, and it wasn't going to defund the police, and they knew it. It was a trick. The same system that puts you in a situation will never willingly take you out of it. Know that. Know that. They were never going to take you out of it. Then they had a little opportunity, a little window. Because our city's budget is screwed, y'all. Y'all know that, right? They don't have money coming in from the convention center. They don't have money coming in from all their parking lots and all their parking ramps and whatever. And all these other ways that they make money. People aren't driving, so they're not giving tickets, which is a big revenue driver. So the city's budget is fucked, y'all, okay? We're fucked. So they had to figure out how to cut the budget at least 15%. Every department in the city got a budget cut of 15% and a hiring freeze, except
the police.
The police. You know what the police got? They got a 0.75% budget cut. Not even 1%. But they're over here, come on, we're going to defund the police. We're going to, you know, dismantle the police, blah, blah. Okay, get the hell to start doing it if you're going to. Because I sure don't see any action that way. And when I hear there's a whole lot of trickery going on with a charter amendment that they knew wasn't going to pass, it was written so badly, y'all, they didn't even get the advice from the city clerk or the city attorney on how to write the thing. And here's one of the deals. We have, I think it's 14 departments that are mandated in the charter that have to exist. 14 of them. And one of them right now is the police department. No other department has a minimum staffing requirement, but for every department, they have things in the charter like who appoints the person, you know, that's going to head up the department, all of this other kind of stuff. And under our current charter, the mayor has the right to appoint the police chief, the council approves it. The mayor has a right to discipline police. Traditionally, they have delegated that right to the police chief, but they could just as easily delegate it to the community, okay? So you should know that. In their charter amendment that they wrote, they did not vest the power to discipline police with anyone. So what they would have done is they would have let us pass a charter amendment with no ability to discipline the police.
Wow.
Could you be more stupid than that, city council? Could you be more idiotic? Could you believe that did you think we weren't going to pick it up and notice it? That the damn thing was written so bad that it was dysfunctional and not actually something that could actually work? I mean, this is where these people operate. And I'm trying to decide if it's just plain stupidity or if it's opportunistic or what they're trying to pull. But just know this, again, and I repeat, the same people that put you in this spot are never going to take you out of this spot voluntarily. Just know it. Every inch of what we get, we fight for. They sat there and they said, we've tried everything. We've tried to bring the cops in. You ain't done jack shit. Okay, and I'm going to say it out loud. You ain't done jack shit. You oversee the Office of Police Conduct Review that has a 0.42% discipline rate. when every other so-called civilian oversight in the country has a 7 to 8% discipline rate. And we have a 0.42, and now we find out it's worse than that because they took a whole bunch of their complaints and they didn't call them complaints, they called them inquiries, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So it's probably half that number. And the city council has overseen it since it started. They started it, and they have overseen it ever since, and they haven't done jack shit. And it ain't for a lack of knowledge, because we've been down at their meetings year in and year out telling them about how bad it is, offering the data that we get from the city ourselves, and can prove everything we say. And they have not cared to do anything about it. So, again, do not count on the people that put you in the damn trick bag to take you back out of it. So that's all I'm trying to tell you. So now we come with our own demands. And that's where we're going.
Hell yeah.
And y'all, thank you so much.